What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today in this video, we're going to be doing a Lightroom Creative Cloud basic tutorial to get your photos looking like this to this. So let's get right into it. So for those of you that don't know, you can get Lightroom in a Creative Cloud version or a Classic version. The Classic version is a little bit more advanced. Creative Cloud is very user-friendly. That's the one that I use also because it's easier for my workflow. It's just basically in and out. I can get a photo done very quickly and very efficiently in this software. All right, so let's open Lightroom. And I already obviously have photos in here, but you can just basically click add photos. You select them off your computer where you want to grab them. And in this instance, we are editing a raw photo. And raw means that the photo is uncompressed in the camera. So your camera can shoot in JPEG and RAW. If you're editing photos, the preferred way is to edit in RAW format because you can get the most out of the photo, whereas a JPEG is already compressed and already almost finalized. So you're not really gonna get much out of the photo like you would have if you had a raw photo to start with. So today we're gonna be doing lighting adjustments, color adjustments, cropping, and basically framing the subject and making the subject pop. So the first thing I'm gonna look at right now is basically seeing how dark the photo is at the moment. And I wanna get the exposure up just a little bit, but we can also isolate the shadows later. And again, this is just basically a basic editing tutorial on how to get your car photography to the next level. Not going too crazy. I'm gonna drop the highlights just a little bit right here. And what we'll do is we'll isolate the shadows later on the car to adjust them after. I'm just looking at the reflections on the car right now. I wanted to get the photo a little bit warmer. So with my lighting, I'm gonna finish the lighting to get this photo looking a little bit brighter, bring my whites up. And then next we're gonna go basically down to color adjustments. And this essentially is to help you just change the temperature of the photo, whether you want it to be more of a cooler looking photo, warmer looking photo. I want more of a warmer feel in this one. Drag this little guy over here. And then we're gonna be adjusting the saturation just a tad to bring up and bring out those colors just a little bit. You also don't want to make it too much. You don't want to make it artificial, looking like it's been over-touched essentially. Kind of tweak it around a little bit right there. We can also play with individual colors in Lightroom as well. So if you want to bring these greens a little bit like, less saturated, you can do that and basically pull the color out of them. Or you can make them looking less yellow, which I want to do. They're looking really yellow right here. It's kind of distracting. After that, what I like to do in Lightroom, it's got this awesome feature where you can select the subject. And what we're gonna do right here is select subject, and it just only isolates the car itself. So you can really adjust only the car, make the adjustments you need to do to really make the car pop in the photo. So you can adjust the exposure. You don't want to obviously darken it too much, but you don't want to like blow it out like this because then obviously it looks crazy artificial. And then we're gonna adjust the highlights just a little bit to get like the heavy reflections off of the car. As you can see right all here, where the car is basically all almost darkened out, you can really bring up those shadows and pull more of the details in the car out. Don't want to do too much. And then bring the whites out on the car a little bit. And then here's the golden part where I love to really make the car pop. You can adjust the texture and clarity in Lightroom. Again, this is only just basic things. We're not going super crazy with this photo. So change the texture of the car a little bit. You can adjust basically how the car pops on the picture. It's gonna be adding, like, you can see those filters you can see on Instagram that like make things look like this, super defined, but we don't want to do that because that looks completely artificial. We just want to bring it up a little bit just to get the car to kind of pop more in the picture. And then the sharpness, you can adjust the sharpness just a tad, just to kind of really like get even more focus. Not focus isn't the right word, just even get more definition, I would say, out of the picture. After that, right now, what we can do is I want to crop some of the area out a little bit, and right here is we're going to basically make sure the photo is nice and center, and you want to keep the focal point on the car and try to get the least distractions you can, only drawing your eye to directly the subject. And let's do that kind of basically dead center on all three. The last thing we could do to really make the car pop is what I usually like to do is I sometimes drop the saturation. Now, obviously, everyone's got to have their own style. I kind of like to drop the saturation just a little bit on the background, just to make that, obviously, my car is very dark, just to make the car actually pop more on the screen, or photo, I should say. Just the saturation, just a tad, just to really make those colors pop on the car just a little bit more. And then the last thing, I'll give you guys a little bonus thing. We're gonna add a little bit, just a taste of a more advanced thing that I usually do. And we're gonna add a little bit of like directional shadows to really just draw your eye into the car. So you can bring down that just to really make the car pop more. I usually like to take a second, just look back and see what else I could change. I might bring the saturation up just a tad on the greens again because they look a little bit dead. And you can also see how far you've come too, because you can see the lighting adjustments from here to here. Also the colors that you've changed. You can click this button right here, you can see the color you dropped. I'd say we can probably add just a touch of more vibrance on the colors a little bit. This is kind of my aesthetic, and obviously you guys are going to have your own style of editing, but this is essentially just the basic tips on how you can get the car to pop more in the photo. So now what we're going to do is we can do another one, and we're going to crop this one more for the Instagram, and this is more of a difficult photo to work with. That's why I want to show you guys this one. So this one is super yellow and super green because it was so bright out, and I was using an ND filter on here. Still trying to dial in my settings on it. So this is a perfect example to show you guys in post. We're going to start with cropping it to 4x5 because I'm going to be using this for Instagram later. And then what we're going to do right here is lock that in, fit. And then now, first thing I'm going to do is I can definitely see that the car itself is dark, but the photo itself looks like it's pretty much properly exposed. Highlights a little bit, shadows up just a tad. You don't want to blow them out too much because in the photo, as you can see right here, if you blow this thing way up like that, it looks completely artificial. Just enough to get the details out of the car that you weren't able to capture in the moment. Right now, because of the fact that the car is dark, we can also bring up some of the whites right here too in the car to help make that also pop as well. And the first thing I'm going to touch is definitely the temperature because this photo is very yellowish green. I'm going to bring this more to a cooler feel, and then we can touch the saturation just a little bit just to bring out a little bit of the colors, but obviously everything is super bright green in here too, so I'm going to be pulling back the saturation individually on the other greens, but obviously the other items in the photo, I want to pull a little more color out of them. So now we can go basically bring the yellows down because I think there's way too much yellow going on in this photo. It's really distracting. And then greens. So the next what we're going to do is we're going to basically isolate the car. So we're going to do select subject. So now we're only selecting just the car right here, and we can just do the individual exposure settings to really make the car pop from the photo. Highlights down. See the reflections in the sun really going away on top of the car. Really makes the car pop right here. With the highlights there, it kind of like blows it out. You can see there's really not as much definition coming in. Highlights down. And then we're going to add a little bit of saturation into this just a tad. And then here's where we get that car to pop even more right here out of the photo. Adding a little bit of texture. You can see the drastic difference between here and here, really defining those body lines. Any kind of like shine that's on here too is actually kind of being like enhanced. And on top of that, I'm gonna do a little bit of sharpness. Again, this is just a basic little edit right here going on, nothing too crazy. After that, we're gonna see where we are. I'm gonna bring it out. Sometimes I like to zoom out a little bit. You can zoom out right here and just really see with a black background. That way it's not always zoomed in. I might even move this up just a little bit too, just because it's a lot of grass to car ratio. So after that, what I'm going to do right here is I do want to basically still be bringing a little bit of shadows, directional shadows to the car, drop the exposure on that. And what I'm doing here is basically doing a linear gradient, and it's going to be dropping this like a fading, I don't know, fading fog of a line, I guess you could call it. And it's basically dropping it down just to kind of get a little bit more eyes drawing towards the car itself. Even from the top too, we can probably bring one down as well, and just help with the exposure on that too. So what I might do looking back now too is also just adjust the exposure a little bit more on the car just to make it really accentuated here too. That is basically the ideal of what I would do if I was gonna be doing a very quick edit, nothing too crazy, not going in too deep. I would say that that is a perfect spot right here. So what you would do now is essentially with these two photos we edited from here, from Lightroom, you can export in a certain format that you want. You can export to a smaller JPEG, larger JPEG. And with this, I'm basically gonna just put this right into Instagram, get it set up, and that'll be it. So for the final photo, this is what we started with right here, and this is where we ended up with. It's amazing what you can actually do in this program to really pull out the definition of the car, adjust the lighting, add shadows where you want them, take them away where you don't want them, really get the car to pop in these photos. And you can see that it took us under 10 minutes to achieve this. As another example, here's the other picture we worked on right here. Just goes to show you how quickly this can be done. Right here, obviously super blown out with greenish and yellow, and the car is all shadowy and dark. We pulled out all the beautiful shine that is actually on the car right now. And also on top of that, we also got the wheels to kind of pop a little bit more from lifting up the shadows. And obviously got a little bit more of the exhaust right here as well, but it's night and day comparison to what you guys can actually do in just a few minutes in Lightroom. So it's that easy, guys. It really is very simple to get a little bit more out of your photos just with this basic tutorial, a basic editing on Lightroom Creative Cloud. It's a very easy user interface. I will be doing a advanced Lightroom editing tutorial down the road, but for right now, I think that this is definitely something that I've had people reach out to me and ask me a couple questions about how certain things, are edited or what I do and what I use. So I wanted to show you guys this so you guys can actually do it for yourself. So that way you guys can put out some banger shots as well. That's it for today, guys. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to smack the like button. It helps me out, it helps the channel out, and subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you guys in the next one.